Hello everyone, welcome to our first lecture on the polity and the constitution of India. So basically before going to our actual syllabus, we'll be covering the NCRT books which are important to our basic understanding of the UPSC syllabus. So here I'll be trying to cover the NCRT books of ninth, 10th, 11th and the 12th standard. So before going to the actual syllabus, it is very important to go through the NCRT books, because once you read the NCRT books you will get the basic understanding of the concepts related to polity and the constitution of India. Sorry. So that is the main intention of going to the NCRT books. And also, if you directly jump into the standard books, the problem is you will not be able to grasp the concepts properly. So that is why we'll be first going through the NCRTs and then only we'll move on to the actual syllabus. So firstly, today I'll be trying to start with the class 9th NCRT. The name of the book is Democratic Politics Part 1. So here in the first chapter, that is Democracy in the Contemporary World, we'll be trying to focus on the concept of democracy and few examples related to democracy in order to get a better understanding. So basically the focus of this chapter is to analyze how democracy has expanded during the last 100 years to more and more countries in the world. And also we'll be trying to learn democracy or get more understanding of democracy with the examples of two countries. In this case it is Chile and Poland. These countries are taken as case studies in order to understand a democracy. And also we'll be studying the phases of democracy. When did the democracy start in different countries and what is the status of democracy today? So that is the basic idea or content in this chapter. So before going into the phases of democracy, let us try to see the example of Chile. So Chile, we all know that it is a South American country. So basically in 1970s, the president of Chile, that is Salvador Allende, he was the president of Chile. So he wanted to develop his country and he wanted to give facilities for his citizens. So that is why he took various reforms such as redistribution of land to landless farmers, and he also opposed the foreign companies taking away the country's resources. That is, he was opposing the open market policy, and he was pro poor president. So that is why what happened was the rich or the capitalist class were not happy with Salvador Allende. So what they did, in 1973 there was a military coup which overturned the government of Salvador Allende. So what do you mean by military coup? It is a overthrowing of the government by a military through conspiracy and violence. So what do you mean by conspiracy and violence? So the rich class joined hands with the military of the Chile and overthrew the government by using violence. So this was what happened in the Chile in 1973. So basically the government or the power shifted from government elected by people to the military officer. So what did the military officer do? Who was the military officer? Pinochet. He was the army general who became the president. So now the government which was elected by the people got replaced by a military government. So basically what happens after this? He tortured and killed several of those who wanted democracy to be restored. So obviously, since there is no democracy, the voice of the people will not be heard, right? So since the voice of the people is not being heard, many of the citizens demanded democracy. So these kind of citizens were killed and tortured if they tried to restore democracy. So this is what was happening in Chile. And when there was too much of pressure on Pinochet, they decided to pass a referendum in 1989. So what do you mean by referendum here? Referendum is nothing but a proposal to which proposal given by the government to which the people will express their opinion through votes. So it is a direct vote on a particular proposal. So what did Pinochet do? Since there was huge pressure on him, he decided to pass a referendum in order to elect a government. So after this, since the people were unhappy with Pinochet, they elected, or they decided to elect the daughter of Allende, who was a former president, as the new president. So this is how the democracy was reinstalled in Chile. So basically, what is democracy here? Democracy is nothing but the government which is elected by people, and also the government in which the citizens enjoy freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to have their own profession, etc. So this is what happens in a democracy. So whenever there is a authoritarian or a dictatorship rule, so there is a tendency by the citizens to overthrow that military dictatorship. This is what happened in the case of Chile. So we'll also see the example of Poland. See, democracy, evolution of democracy is different in every country. It is not fixed. It is not in similar manner in all the countries. Different countries have different processes of evolution of democracy. So that is why it is important to study at least democracy evolution in two countries. So here we will be trying to know what happened in Poland. So Poland, basically it was ruled by a communist party. So what is a communist party here? Communist party is nothing but a authoritarian rule where there is no opposition. No other political party is allowed to function except a single party. So that is why here what happens? So there is a tendency of the rule turning into dictatorship or authoritarian. So what happened in this case? In the communist party or in the communist government, whoever tried to oppose the government or raise the voice against the government, they were put into prison. So in a similar protest against the government, the workers in the Lenin shipyard went on a strike. So the trade workers in the Lenin shipyard went on a strike. So since the pressure was huge on the government or the party, communist party, so they decided to sign an agreement which was called as 21-point agreement, with workers, and they named the trade as Solidarity. The new trade Solidarity was formed. So what happened with this? There were some rules set up in order to govern the citizens so that the communist party does not get converted into authoritarian. So what happened? Once the agreement was signed, this trade union became responsible to reveal wide corruption and mismanagement in the government. See, in the government in Poland, there was widespread corruption and mismanagement. So since the trade union got some powers through the 21-point agreement, they were able to reveal the corruption and mismanagement. So what did government do? Government got cautious or anxious and it imposed martial law. What is martial law? See, martial law is nothing but the law which curbs the freedom of the people. So basically, under martial law, the people or the citizens are not allowed to enjoy freedom. It is similar to that of emergency in India. So in emergency, various fundamental rights of the citizens are curbed. Similarly, under martial law, the citizens or freedoms are curbed. So after this martial law was imposed, again there was a strike by the citizens. Since the citizens were unhappy with the authoritarian rule of the Communist Party, sorry, they again went on the strike. At end, since the government did not have any other alternative, they had to conduct free elections. So by this way, there was a revival of democracy in Poland. See, the basic idea behind democracy is only the leaders elected by people should rule the country. What do you mean by this? See, military people are appointed. If an appointed person is ruling a country, he does not have any responsibility towards the citizens. He is worried only about his favors. If a leader who is elected by a people, he will be worried about the people. So that is the idea behind democracy. So it is very important to have a leader elected by the people in democracy. And the second criteria is people should enjoy freedom to express views, freedom to organize, and freedom to protest. So these are some of the features of democracy. So this is how democracy was revived in Chile and Poland. Similarly, many countries around the world have different process of evolution of democracy because there were different histories. They had different histories, hence they had to evolve differently. Got the point? So this is about your example of Poland. So in this diagram, see, they have given you the countries which were democratic in between 1900 to 1950. See, the countries which are marked in red color were democratic by 1900, whereas the countries which are marked in yellow color became democratic after 1900 and before 1950. So till 1950 there were limited number of democratic countries, but whereas in after 1950, that is till 1975, the number of democratic countries increased, because after Second World War, since there was end of Second World War, many countries came out of the colonialism and many countries got freedom, so hence they became democratic. And also by 2000 you can see the number has increased. The number of democratic countries in the world has increased now. See, almost most of the European countries and the American countries and Russia, African countries and also India are now democratic. See, even though countries have become democratic, the way of functioning of government is different in different countries because they have different histories, and you cannot compare or you cannot tell that the democracy is a fixed format. It is not a fixed format. For example, democracy in Russia is different from democracy in India, and you can also not tell that democracy is the best form of government, because there are some disadvantages in democracy and there are some advantages also. Say for example, if we take the example of India and China, see what is the case in India? We have a democratic government, whereas China does not have a democratic government. See, but what is the advantage of India having a democratic government? We enjoy freedom of expression, freedom of speech, we can raise the voice against the government, etc. Whereas, can the citizens of China raise the voice against the government? No, they don't have freedom of expression. So, this is the advantage of democracy. Whereas, there are criticism that in India, democracy is the reason for slow growth. Democracy is the reason for slow growth. Whereas in China, in 1980s and 90s, they growed at a much faster pace compared to India due to communist government. See, many people tell that in democracy, since the government is under huge pressure due to opposition parties, due to the voice raised by the trade unions, due to the voice raised by the citizens. So if governments wants to bring any policy, there is an opposition and there is criticism for each and every policy. So that is why in democratic countries the development process is very slow. So this is the criticism against the democracy. So hence democracy has its own advantages and disadvantages. And these are the countries which are got democratic in the 19th century. So next phase is phases in expansion of democracy. See, what do you mean by phases in expansion of democracy? See, democracy did not come to all the countries at the same time. Any country got its democracy according to its history. For example, America or USA became democratic in 1776 itself, whereas India became democratic in 1947. So different countries got democracy at different phases. So initially, the first country which got democracy or which declared themselves independent was North America in 1776. So they were under the rule of British colonies. In 1776, North America declared itself independent, and it also adopted its own constitution in 1787. But you have to see one disadvantage or one fallback here. But the right to vote was limited to very few men. What do you mean by right to vote? I already told you that democracy is a government elected by people. So if you are electing, you will be voting to the government, right? Or a party which is contesting. So here, when USA got democracy or independence, at that stage the right to vote was limited to very few men. Why limited to very few men? They thought that the people who paid taxes, the people who are educated, only they are eligible to choose the leaders or government. So that was the idea. And also there was one more criteria. There were blacks in USA. Blacks in USA got the right to vote only in 1965. That is almost after 200 years of getting independence, the blacks in USA got the right to vote. Whereas in India, as soon as we got freedom in 1947, we gave universal adult franchise. What do you mean by universal adult franchise? Every person who has eligible age, every citizen will be eligible to vote. So that was the move taken by India. Many countries criticized this move taken by India because they thought that an uneducated person or women were not eligible for voting because they don't have capacity to take decisions on their own. But our constitutional makers and our freedom fighters thought that since we got independence on the basis of equality and justice, so they thought that giving equal rights to all the citizens of India is very important. So we can see that in this way, USA and India was much better compared to USA when it got independence. Got it? And following USA, French Revolution happened. French got independence in 1789. So France was also got independence only on the lines of equality, liberty, and justice. So hence, democracy was the only way out for the France. And in 19th century also, many countries struggled for democracy, which centered around the political equality, freedom, and justice. See, in 1900, New Zealand was only country where adult had voting right, or every adult had voting right. What do you mean by this? I already told you that initially many countries did not have universal adult franchise. The voting rights were reserved only for educated and tax-paying persons. In 1900 also, only country to have universal adult franchise was New Zealand. So you can figure out the amount of discrimination which was there even though the countries were democratic. So gradually, after Second World War in 1945, most of the countries in Asia and Africa got independence. There was end of colonialization. The British rule ended in India, Pakistan, etc. Other Asian and African countries. So hence they became democratic, since their freedom movement was on the lines of democracy. But even though many countries are democratic or have become democratic, there is the mixed record of the success of democracy in these countries. Many countries which became democracies in 1940s and 1950s could not remain as democratic because of internal flaws in the countries. For example, in Ghana, it could not remain democratic for long because the people or the leaders misused their powers, misused the powers given by the people, and they imposed president authoritarian governments. So this is what happened in many countries. So coming to the next phase, that is the recent phase. So in the recent phase, what happened? After 1980, there was disintegration of Soviet Union. In 1990, after disintegration, what happened? The countries which were under the control of USSR or the Soviet Union, they got freed. Many countries in the Eastern Europe were under the control of Soviet Union. So they got freedom and they attained democracy. Even in India's neighborhood also, Pakistan and Bangladesh made transition from army rule to democracy in 1990 only. Because even they got independence, they were ruled by armies. They got democracy only in 1990. As I already told, even though the countries have become democratic, there is difference or there are many flaws in their government. Say for example, in Myanmar, it gained freedom in 1948 itself. But Just after 10 to 12 years, in 1962, there was a military coup. Even though the elections were held in 1990, the military leaders did not accept the outcome of election and they refused to step down from the rule. Due to this military rule, lakhs of people have been uprooted from their houses. For example, in 2017, there was a Rohingya crisis in which the Rohingya community people were deported from Myanmar, telling that they are not the original citizens of Myanmar. So, hence, in this event, thousands of Rohingyas died and they were displaced into and they immigrated into the countries of India and Bangladesh. So, this is what happens in a military ruled government. So, even though there are democratically elected leaders, there is no power for them to rule the countries in many countries. So that is the case of situation of democracy in some countries like Myanmar. So this is the democracy at individual country level. We also have to see, is there a democracy at global level? What do you mean by democracy at global level? See, in each and every country there is a government which enjoys some powers and also which provides some rights to the citizens. At global level also, there are some organizations which enjoy powers derived from the signatory countries and also give some rights to those countries. Say for example, UN is a global association of nations of the world. Almost all the nations of the world are members of United Nations. So what is the purpose of United Nations? It helps to establish international laws and cooperation in economic development, social equity, etc. Here, these organizations have the powers which are delegated from the individual countries which have signed them. So it is also important to see whether these organizations are democratic or not. Say for example, in UN United Nations there is a UNSC, which is a Security Council, United Nations Security Council. So this United Nations Security Council is the major body where all the decisions of UN are taken. Here we can see that there are 15 members in the United Nations Security Council. Out of these 15 members, there are 5 permanent members and 10 non-permanent members. Who are the permanent members? US, Russia, UK, France and China. These permanent members enjoy veto powers. These permanent members enjoy veto powers. What do you mean by veto powers? No policy or no law can be passed even if a single country does not agree to support the policy. So that is the amount of power they enjoy. Even though the UNSC, the United Nations have 190 odd countries, only 5 countries have been given this power. So hence there are apprehensions about the democratic nature of UNSC. Similarly in IMF also, even though it consists of 185 member states, they do not have equal voting rights. Why they don't have equal voting rights? The voting rights in IMF are decided based on the contribution of member countries. Since the developed countries like USA, Japan, Germany, etc. are able to contribute more to the IMF, the 10 countries given in this list have the 54% voting rights. remaining 175 countries enjoy the 46% voting rate. So hence we can see that here there is no equal sharing of rights. Hence there is a question on the democratic nature of these organizations. So this is the example of democracy at global level. And also if you see the organizations like World Bank, the president of World Bank is always a US citizen. So here we can see that there is unequality or inequality between the countries based on their economic strength, military strength, developed nature, etc. And if you see any international organization, there is dominance of America, because since America is a superpower, there is dominance of America in any international organization. And there is also an example of democracy promotion, the concept of democracy promotion in the rest of the world. What do you mean by democracy promotion? See, we have said that the countries which got independence in the 18th century were like USA, France, etc. So these are the oldest democracies. So what these countries are doing is, these countries are trying to forcefully impose democracies in many countries. So what is the main purpose behind this is, indirectly they want to control these countries. But the problem here is, if you are trying to forcefully impose democracy, there is a problem of serious coups or series of coups. What do you mean by coups? It is nothing but the military government. See, you cannot forcefully impose democracy. It should come only from within the citizens. The citizens should raise voice against the government and they have to demand their rights and freedom. If you are trying to externally impose democracy, then it is not going to stay for long. So that is why, say for example, in the country of Iraq, which became independent in 1932, there were a series of coups, and the president in 1979 was Saddam Hussein. What the countries like US and Britain did was, they alleged that the Iraq possessed secret nuclear weapons and the weapons of mass destruction. Hence they invaded Iraq in 2003. But this is a move taken by countries in order to control these countries. Hence this was not authorized by the UN Security Council also. So hence such democracy promotion exercises have been happening in also other countries like Syria, Afghanistan, etc., which is not correct according to the polity, because a democracy, demand for democracy should come from only from the citizens of the country, not from the outside. So this is the basic idea which we have tried to cover in the first chapter. So in first chapter we have tried to cover 3 topics basically. So firstly, we try to understand what is democracy by using the examples of Chile and Poland, and then we try to see what are the phases of democracy, right? And we also saw what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of democracy. In the coming chapter also we will be trying to study what is the idea behind democracy and why do we need democracy. Got the point? Okay. If you have any doubts, you can note it down, and during the interaction session we can have a discussion regarding the same. Thank you.